Why do you seem so scared? La 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 la.
Hey everyone, it's Christine and welcome back to ParanormalTV. So today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. You probably heard my boxer sigh in the background. Every video she does that if you're new, so it's just a thing. I have them written over here, so if I glance over here, that is why it's on my computer. I did a video similar to this with a friend of mine on YouTube who no longer is making videos. We collabed, but I will throw that up in the cards for you guys if you're curious. My list did change a little bit, newer movies came out, but I also wanted to add more movies to the list and really think about my top 10, like really think long and hard about what movies I would include in my top 10. And it was hard because there are so many movies that I love that are horror, but I narrowed it down. I'm going to go from 10 to 1. So the first one on my list is The Haunting. Now, I'm not talking about the one that came out, I think, in the 90s. I'm talking about The Haunting of Hill House. I don't know if anyone has ever read the book, The Haunting of Hill House, but this was a book that later turned into a movie. And this is a black and white movie, so this isn't going to be for everyone. Old horror is not for everyone because it's so much more subtle, and what they considered scary and what we consider scary right now are two different things. But I am a sucker for subtle horror. I love subtle horror. I think that if you can freak someone out subtly, you're doing a good job. And I love older movies. The Haunting came out 1963, so if you're into 60s era film, this is a great one to check out. Russ Tamblyn is in this movie, and I love West Side Story. It's one of my favorite movies, and he is in it. If you don't know, Russ played Riff in West Side Story. He was a jet. So I love this movie. I love the actors. I love the feel of it. I love the subtle horror. I think it's interesting. I love this movie. Number 9 is The Ring. I saw The Ring when I was young, so partially my love for The Ring is nostalgic, but I also just love The Ring. Samara, she's creepy. She's really creepy. I love the storyline. I feel like The Ring, when it came out, it's just kind of like, it was that movie that just kind of creeped you out so much. It didn't really like horrify me. Like, I didn't watch it and feel like I couldn't go to sleep at night, but I was definitely creeped out, and I love the storyline. I love Samara Morgan. She's creepy. I love The Ring. I think that it's well acted. It's well shot. Number 8 is Burnt Offerings. Down the Stars. Betty Davis is another one that's a little bit older, but it takes place in the 70s, so it's not as old as The Haunting. And this is Lacey, really. This is just a classic movie. It is so good. I love the story of Burnt Offerings. I love the type of haunting that it is. It's just a really, really good movie, and I love Betty Davis, one of my favorite actresses of all time. Number 7 is Nightmare on Elm Street. This is such a classic that I don't really feel like it needs a lot of explanation. I think you guys can just get an idea for why I love Nightmare on Elm Street. There's like nothing quite like Nightmare on Elm Street. You know what I mean? Like, there's other movies that dabble in horror that takes place during dreams, but nothing that does it as well as Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, some of the sequels, they're just not on par with the first one. The first one is just like where it is at. I love Nightmare on Elm Street, and Freddy Krueger is scary. If you're young and you're watching this for the first time, I feel like it will scare you. It was one of the first horror movies that actually scared me. Like, I was afraid of Freddy Krueger when I was young. Number 6 is The Conjuring. Now, I struggle with these movies because I really like them, but I don't support the Warrens, and I think a lot of you may know that. If you haven't seen my videos about the warrants, I'll throw them up in the cards. They're some of my more controversial videos. People either are like, yes, you tell the facts, or like, girl, you are lying. And I think it's really a matter of opinion, because it's hard to prove the paranormal. But I do think the warrants are frauds, and you guys can watch the 2 videos I did. I did a video where I was just presenting evidence that would disprove their claims, and then I did a video where I presented evidence to prove their claims, and you guys can watch both of those if you'd like and make your own opinion about the warrants and do further research to make your own opinions about the warrants. But my opinion is that they are frauds. So I struggle with the Conjuring movies, but they're so good. I really like the Conjuring movies. They're not as scary, I feel like, as people make them out to be. Some people make them out to be these terrifying movies, which I don't believe them to be terrifying. They're just not terrifying to me, but they're really good. It's a solid horror movie series. I like The Conjuring. Number 5 is Insidious Chapter 2. I love the first one. I love the second one. The third one's okay. I haven't seen the fourth one yet. I've had too many health problems. I'm hoping to go this weekend. Insidious Chapter 2 is my favorite one out of the series. I think Parker's creepy. What scares me more are more realistic films. So for me, Parker's creepy. He's really, like, I don't know, he freaks me out more than the demon in the first one. Although I do love the first one. The first one's amazing. I recommend the whole Insidious series, and I think that if you haven't watched it, you need to get on that because it's good. It's real good. The acting, the filming, the scares, I love it all. Number 4 is Scream. I am addicted to Scream. Scream is so nostalgic, first of all, for me. It's very 90s. So my position has changed because my feet are falling asleep, and I noticed there's a bit of a glare coming through my window, and I'm hoping that, you know, the positions that I changed into slightly with the camera will cancel out the glare. But like I was saying, I love Scream so much. It's very nostalgic for me. I'm a 90s kid. This is a 90s horror movie. This was huge when it came out. Huge. And I remember watching this at a friend's house, and I know my mom would have killed me if she knew that I was watching Scream. She did not want me watching it. It's not the best horror movie, but it's so nostalgic to me, and it's funny, and it does funny correctly, because in horror movies, getting the humor apart can be really hard. It can be done incorrectly, or it just is completely out of place. But they did it really well in Scream. So I love Scream for that, and I love the nostalgia, and I love the ghost face masks, and I love Scream. Also, Wes Craven is one of my favorite horror directors. Number 3, this is something that really changed from my last one because it wasn't even out at this time, but I am so happy with the new It. The first It, I love Tim Curry as Pennywise. I love the look of Pennywise better in the first It than the second It. However, I just felt like it took so long to introduce the characters, and I just got bored along the way, and it was just too long of a movie for me. I know it was a 2-part TV movie, but it was too much for me. It just took too long to introduce the characters. I felt like it wasn't done that great. I love how this It is. I love how we only meet them as children, and in the second movie we're going to meet them as adults. I think that was executed so much better. I just think that it made it easier for you to get through the movie, and I love the way it was shot. The children did such a good job acting. So they did it beautifully. They all did a great job. The scene with Georgie when he meets Pennywise in the sewer, that actually shocked me. I didn't think it would get as intense as it did so quickly, and it shocked me, but in a good way. It really set the tone for the movie. There were certain things I just didn't like about it. There was just certain things that he did that I just didn't think were that scary. Like, I didn't think the weird running thing that he did to the victims was that scary. However, it's gonna be really hard to find a movie that you find to be perfect and you can't find anything you dislike about it. So there were just really minor things I disliked about it. There was nothing major like in the first one, and I thought it was a beautiful film. I thought it was extremely well acted. It did scare me in the theater watching it. There were multiple parts that made me jump. Number 2 is Halloween. Halloween, I've said this so many times, used to be my number one, and then a movie replaced that for me within recent years. However, Halloween is still very high up on my list of movies I love because, one, I find Michael Myers to be creepy. I just do. There's something about him that creeps me out, and I love the mask. I mean, the William Shatner mask does not sound scary at all, but there is something about this mask on Michael Myers that works. It's creepy and it works. I don't know. And I love the acting. I just think this movie is amazing. I love multiple movies in the series. Some of them are not that great.
Resurrection.
Oh my goodness. I hated that movie so much. That's the worst one. Don't watch it. But most of them I find to be pretty good, if not great. As Above, So Below is my number one. A lot of people didn't like this movie, but then there's a lot of people who love this movie. And As Above, So Below, when I went to see it in the movie theater, I didn't have high hopes for it. And I wound up really, really enjoying it. I mean, it replaced Halloween for me. So, you know, I really liked it. I loved that it had literature, it had classic literature, it had historic alchemy, it had religion, it had all these different elements that tied into the film, and I felt like it was a lot deeper of a horror movie than I was expecting. I kind of expected it to be very surface level, didn't have a lot of meaning, and I was shocked by the movie. I thought they did a wonderful job. I loved the acting, I loved the relationships between people, I loved the scares, I love the way it's filmed. I think it was done amazingly. I loved that, you know, sometimes in found footage films, it is so hard to always have a reason to be filming, and sometimes it's just completely out of place and stupid. There wasn't a reason like that. There was always a reason to be filming in this movie, because that's a huge pet peeve for me. There's some movies where you're watching and you're like, why would you be filming that? Why? Like on one of the I think it's Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, when they were filming getting mugged or whatever they were doing. Like, I don't even remember, it's been so long, but I'm pretty sure they were filming getting mugged. Like, really? You want to be filming that? They wouldn't let you film that. They break your camera, beat you up even more. It was just stupid. It was so stupid. And a lot of found footage films do that, in my opinion, and As Above, So Below did not. They always had a reason to be filming, and it was great. It was just a great movie. I really like it. There's a lot of layers to this movie, so if you don't understand historic alchemy, you might not get the Philosopher's Stone. You may think it's just a Harry Potter thing, like a lot of people did, but it's not. So I would do a little bit of research, you know, maybe research Dante's Divine Comedy, Dante's Inferno, things like that. There's a play on that, so you might want to research a little bit going into this film if you don't know these things to fully enjoy it, to fully understand it. But I love As Above, So Below. I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful movie. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your top 10 down below, or your top 5, or whatever your top horror films are. Just see you in the next one. Bye.